Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tale, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, and shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late now. Let's get into today's tale. My parents took my custom wedding cake and gave it to my sister, saying she deserves the best. When I protested, my mom snapped, "If you complain, don't expect us at your wedding." I just laughed and said, "Before you say another word, look at this." The truth left my sister in tears. I'm 28, getting married in a few weeks, and my family just pulled a stunt that left me speechless. I need to get this off my chest. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. My parents have always favored my younger sister, Sophie. She's 25, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. I've always been there. Responsible one, the one who followed the rules, but somehow Sophie always got the spotlight. Ethan and I have been planning our wedding for over a year. We're set to get married at a beautiful historic venue in downtown Savannah. I was especially excited about the cake. I worked with a local bakery to design a 3-tiered masterpiece vanilla bean with raspberry filling decorated with intricate sugar flowers. It was everything I ever dreamed. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the bakery confirming the pickup time for the cake. I was confused because the cake was supposed to be delivered to 5th Avenue on the morning of the wedding. The baker told me that my mother had already picked up the cake, saying there was a change in plans. I immediately called my mom. She casually said, "Oh, honey, we decided to give the cake to Sophie. She deserves the best, and we thought you'd understand." I was stunned. When I protested, she snapped, "If you complain, don't expect us at your wedding." I couldn't believe what was happening. I decided to go over to my parents' house to confront them. When I arrived, Sophie was there gushing about her upcoming wedding. She showed me pictures of the cake, my cake, with her initials on it. I calmly handed her the receipt and said, "Before you say another word, look at this." Sophie's face turned pale as she read the receipt. My mother tried to intervene, but I held up my hand. "You stole my cake, something I designed and paid for. How could you?" Sophie burst into tears, realizing the gravity of the situation. My father, who had been silent, finally spoke. "This was wrong. We need to make this right." My parents apologized and offered to pay for a new cake. Sophie returned the original cake to the bakery, and they managed to restore it for my wedding. On my wedding day, the cake stood proudly. At the center of the reception, it was more than just dessert. It was a symbol of standing up for myself. My relationship with my family remains strained, but I've learned the importance of setting boundaries and speaking up. So after that mess with the cake and Sophie returning it to the bakery, I thought it was over. I really did. I should have known better. A few days later, I get a call from my aunt, my dad's sister. She's loud, honest, and doesn't sugarcoat anything. She says, "Sweetie, are you sure your sister gave the cake back?" I'm like, "Yeah, the bakery confirmed it." She pauses. Then she says, "I just got a picture from Sophie's bridal shower. The cake in the background looks exactly like the one you designed, 3-tiers, sugar flowers, raspberry filling. It's your cake, honey." I thanked her, hung up, and stared at my phone for 10 straight minutes. I pulled up Sophie's Instagram. She had posted a story, probably thinking I wouldn't see it. She blocked me on her main account, but forgot. She hadn't blocked my friend Tessa. Tessa sent me the video. Clear as day, my cake at Sophie's stupid shower. 1 tier, already cut, laughing toasts, the works. I called the bakery. They admitted they had made a second cake nearly identical because Sophie came back the next day in tears, saying the original was damaged and begged them to remake it. She even used my name and pretended she was me, then paid for it using her own card. They apologized but said legally they couldn't do anything since she paid for it and didn't use any of my actual money. It wasn't fraud on paper, just disgusting. I didn't bother calling my parents. I drove straight to their house. Sophie answered wearing a white robe. Her hair was curled like she was prepping for ASPA day. I said, "You lied, you never gave it back." She had the nerve to look confused. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the bakery's email, showed her the video from Instagram. She looked like a deer in headlights. Then she said, "It's just cake." That was it. "It's just cake." No, Sophie. It's not just cake. It's lying. It's stealing. You didn't get your way. So you took mine. You've done this my whole life. Mom and Dad always let you. My mom came to the door behind her, wiping her hands with a towel like she just finished baking cookies. What's going on? Now I told her. She didn't even look surprised. Not mad, not apologetic. She just said we were trying to keep the peace. You didn't need 2 cakes aloft. I actually laughed right there. This wasn't about needing 2 cakes. It was about what you thought. Sophie deserved again. You told me if I complained not to expect you at my wedding. I hope you meant it. I walked away, got in my car. I didn't cry, this time just shook with anger. My dad showed up at my apartment alone. Ethan opened the door and just stood aside. My dad looked tired, older than he did even a week ago. He sat down and said, I didn't know about the second cake, I swear I didn't. I told them we had to fix it, and I thought we had. I believed him. He's quiet and kind of spineless. When it comes to Mom and Sophie, but he doesn't lie. That's one thing I've always known. Then he said, your mom wants us to keep things calm before the wedding. I said, too late for that. He nodded, stood up and said, before leaving, I'll be there even if she's not. The next day, I got an anonymous email. No text, just 3 attachments, screenshots. 1, a conversation between Sophie and my mom, talking about how they were going to switch the cake and what to say if I found out. 2, a Venmo transaction where my mom paid Sophie back for the second cake. 3, a photo of Sophie trying on a white wedding dress, the exact same brand and model as mine. Turns out she went to the same bridal boutique 2 weeks after I bought. My dress asked for the same style and got a rush order. She knew my mother knew. This wasn't just about cake anymore. After I saw that screenshot, the one of Sophie in my exact dress, I couldn't sit still. I felt sick. I called the boutique, told them my name, asked if my sister had come in asking for my dress. The girl on the phone paused for a second. Then she said, yes. She said she was your maid of honor and wanted to match aesthetics. I just about dropped my phone. She said it was a family wedding theme and you wanted everything to look coordinated. The girl continued. She even brought a swatch of fabric from your dress. That swatch I remembered now when Sophie helped me try on dresses. She had accidentally ripped a piece of the hem during one of the fittings and acted like it was no big deal. She used that to copy my wedding dress. I went straight to Ethan, told him everything. The cake the dress, the lying, the faking, the sheer level of delusion my sister and mom had reached. Ethan, bless his heart, stayed calm. He said something I'll never forget. You need to do whatever you have to do to feel okay about this, whatever that means. So, I made a plan. I took screenshots of everything. The dress, the cake messages, the Venmo receipts, the boutique confirmation. Then I made one big family group chat, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone, and I sent it all. No words, just evidence. Let them draw their own conclusions. My phone exploded, aunt scolding it, disgusting. One uncle asked if this was some kind of prank. My grandma texted me directly and said, "Sweetheart, your mama lost her mind. I'm so sorry." She doubled down, texted me separately, saying, "If you cared this much about being special, maybe you should have picked more unique stuff. It's not my fault, your taste is basic." I didn't reply, but I did forward that message into the group chat too. My mom showed up at my door. No warning, no knocking. She had her keys from the spare we gave her, before Ethan opened the door before I could stop him. She walked in, eyes red from crying, but face tight with anger. "I raised you better than this," I just said. "No, you raised Sophie better than me." And look how that turned out. She looked like she'd been slapped. Then she started crying. Not the quiet kind, the dramatic gasping kind. She went on about how she just wanted both her daughters to be happy, that Sophie was going through a rough time, that she didn't want to choose sides. I told her you already did. She left. No apology, just crying and muttering about family falling apart. Later that night, I got a DM from someone I never expected, Sophie's ex. They broke up a year ago. He said he'd been following the drama because a mutual friend showed him the group chat screenshots. He told me something that made my stomach twist. He said Sophie wasn't engaged. She wasn't even dating anyone seriously. She made it up, all of it. No fiancé, no wedding, no venue, no real plan. She used my wedding to playmake, believe. She used it to get gifts, attention, sympathy, possibly even money from some of my extended family. who assumed she needed help. I didn't even know how to process that. This wasn't just petty jealousy anymore. This was manipulation lying on a level I hadn't even imagined. My sister faked a whole wedding just to compete with mine. After I found out, Sophie faked her engagement, her entire wedding, and used my actual wedding as a blueprint for her fantasy things. Didn't calm down. They got worse. I didn't go public. I didn't post anything online. But people started talking. Some of our cousins started asking questions. My grandma called Sophie directly and straight up asked her, "Are you even engaged?" Sophie cracked. Told her it was just a small lie that got out of control. Said it was meant to make our parents proud. She even tried to paint me as the villain. Said I was trying to humiliate her over something harmless. She forgot one thing. Grandma doesn't play grandma called. A family lunch said it was a "call me if you care" kind of thing. Almost everyone came, even Dad, Mom didn't show up. Neither did Sophie. Grandma stood up with a print out of all the screenshots I had sent in the group chat. And then she said, "This isn't about cake or dresses anymore. This is about lies and control and enabling the worst in people." She turned to my dad and said, "You let your wife destroy the peace in this family. You let her pick favorites and shame the child who did everything right, and now your younger daughter is broken because of it." I had never seen my dad cry that day. He did. And then my uncle stood up next. He said, Sophie had called him a few days before, asking for help to cover some wedding deposits, said it was urgent that her venue had canceled last minute, and she needed $3,000 to rebook. That was the final straw. My dad walked out, left Grandma's house without a word. Next thing I knew, my mom was texting people asking why the whole family was ganging up on Sophie. She still wasn't owning up to anything. Not one word of apology, not even acknowledgement that Sophie was in the wrong. I sent a formal email to both me parents. I told them they were no longer invited to the wedding. No gray area, no. We'll see how things go. I didn't do it out of rage. I did it because I was tired. Tired of being quiet. Tired of being expected to make peace while they burned everything down. I also included an invoice for half the cost of the original cake, the one my mom promised to pay for and never did. With proof, I said, "You don't have to pay it." But now you know what it cost to pretend this didn't happen. It was perfect, not because everything went right. We had last-minute drama with the florist. Ethan's uncle got sick and couldn't come. It rained just before the ceremony, but it was still perfect. Because everyone there wanted Toby there. No tension, no fake smiles, no walking on eggshells. We danced, well off, and when it came time to cut the cake, the real cake, I gave a short toast. I said, "To those who show up for you and to those who try to steal. Your joy may they watch from far away." Sophie word got out. Most of the family stopped. Speaking to her, she disappeared off social media. Last I heard, she moved in with a friend in Atlanta and was trying to start fresh. My mom doubled down, said I humiliated her and ruined the family, sent me a letter saying I was selfish and bitter. I didn't reply. My dad, he called me 2 weeks after the wedding, said he left the house. Said he's trying to fix things with himself, not with my mom, that he wishes he had spoken up sooner. Me, I'm not perfect. I stayed quiet for too long, let things slide to keep the peace. That was my mistake. I won't do that again. Sometimes standing up for yourself means standing alone. And sometimes that's the only way the truth gets heard. I got married, I kept my dignity, and I lost people I never really had to begin.